I have a book in me. This is my friend, my brother.
Thank you, Kelly and Oliver.
I'm a multi-award winning best-selling author.
If you want to start a new business, I suggest you write the book on it.
God woke me up at 2:30 in the morning and I wrote a book.
Some of you got books already. Some of you got novels already.
The lead generator is the book.
You write a book, you leave a legacy to your children.
And I hope you guys listen to these guys so they know what they're talking about.
What's up, everybody? I'm the publisher, Mr. Kelly Cole.
And I'm the writing coach, Dr. Oliver T. Reid, the relationship architect.
Welcome to another episode of Books-N-Brothas podcast. I think you guys will like this one. I get some questions about this a lot. Before we jump into it, bro, how's your week going so far? I see you in the office.
I'm in the office, man, in between. I'm in the office grinding, actually doing some projects that we're going to talk about tonight, but we're doing multiple projects and trying to get it done, bro. What about yourself?
Dope, man. Yeah, same. One thing I hate about being an entrepreneur is doing my taxes. So,
oh, yeah, the deadline today.
Yeah, so it's been a rough 2 weeks, just making sure I got everything and making sure I'm not missing nothing. But I definitely took that extension time to prepare and get stuff together. But that's the only thing I dislike about being an entrepreneur and owning my own business is the tax stuff, man. It's crazy.
Yeah, definitely, man. My biggest thing is the extension felt like it wasn't an extension. I was like, we had this time, I guess in my mind, I was like chilling. Right. I realized this is the 15th. It goes.
Yeah, Aaron got his in today. At least I got mine in last week, but Aaron got his in today. So it's been crazy. So helping him as well get it started. But yeah, man, let's not dilly-dabble anymore, dilly-dab anymore. Let's jump into the topic. So today the topic is how to prepare to work with a ghostwriter. Like I said, I get a lot of questions of a lot of people. Not only do they want to write a book, they don't know where to start, but a lot of them, it would be a lot easier if they actually worked with a ghostwriter. So to kick it off, bro, how was the preparation for you working with a ghostwriter first? Like when you did your book, you had the ghostwriter that helped you with.
It was really a challenge in the beginning, I'll say, because I had to go to about 3 in the beginning, because you have to be very careful of who you pick as a ghostwriter. So a lot of people that I worked with at first was not prepared. And what I mean by that, I would send them, they didn't know how they wanted to receive the information that I was trying to give them. So they were just like, okay, do you have anything written? I'm like, no, that's why I'm hiring a ghostwriter.
Right.
I'm having my ideas and concepts. So my first 2 people was kind of like, I was doing more work in the sense of trying to get them to understand my project, and instead of them having a system, they didn't have a system. But when I found somebody that had a system, it was very easy because they kind of directed me on what I need to give them so that the product could be completed. And so once I found the person that had, they had a timeline, they had some different things for me, it was easy when I found somebody that had a system.
Dope. All right. So cool. So this is a perfect segue. So how should they prepare to work with a ghostwriter? Like now that you know that there's a system in place, what's some of the things that they can do to prepare themselves to work with a ghostwriter?
Yeah. I think the biggest thing is knowing your topic, have a title at least of what you want to do your work, where direction you want to be headed in, because as that's what they're going to ask you. What is your book about? What genre is it? What do you kind of convey? If it's your life story, is it fiction or nonfiction? So to be able to know what is it, a poem, whatever it is, like being able to drive that. They're going to be like your partner in the passenger seat to the point, but you got to tell them where to turn. And you got to tell them what to do. And so I think that being prepared to work with a ghostwriter, you got to know what you want to do first, how you want to do it, and also come to the table not holding back. Because if you hold back and think that, for example, you want that ghostwriter to be a psychic or a prophet, it ain't going to happen because they're going to need your story. They can add to it and put spins on it and be literary geniuses to your work, but they're going to still need to know what you want them to say. So don't hold back and don't try. That ghostwriter, you have to develop a relationship so you can really give them all of you.
Got you. Yeah, so that's a great point. Do you think they should go as far as creating an outline, like we said, like creating a list of the stories that they want to cover or that they want the ghostwriter to, talk about or ask them about?
Yeah, I think that would be great. You will have a leg up with creating an outline. And if you don't even have a full outline, have some bullet points. And I think that's the biggest thing. You may not know from start to finish
Right.
how you want your project to go or project to go, but you can at least say, hey, these are the 10 things I want my book to talk about. These are the 5 things I want them to address, or whatever that number is. So at least a good ghostwriter will help you shape those chapters or shape the narrative, but you at least want to know where you're headed.
Yeah, so good stuff. So yeah, guys, so if you didn't miss that tip, the first thing, try to at least make some bullet points. So like these are, the stories that I want to cover, or these 10 things I want to focus on, that will help prepare to work with a ghostwriter. Now, as far as you said, building a rapport, what's some of the ways that they can build a rapport or loosen themselves up so they can be comfortable with that ghostwriter?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing that I try to do, and I found out that was good about the final one that I decided to work with in the beginning, was that we had a conversation about me versus just having a conversation about the work.
Got you.
So basically, they started asking questions about you. What do you like? Or what you do?
Yeah.
And I didn't know that they were getting a lot of information out of just getting to know me that will correlate to the book or spill over to the book. I just thought and the more I talk to them, and then also they allow me to ask questions, even though we're doing it virtually, about them. Like some of their work, they showed me some of the stuff that they had done. So I started to feel a little bit more comfortable because it was a dialogue, and I had to feel like, oh, we're talking about my book now. It began to be like, we're talking about life, we're talking about fun stuff, we're talking about what your passion is. And I always ask them, how did you get into being a ghostwriter in the first place? So having some questions on the other end, I would say, come with your questions that ask the person or the ghostwriter about their life, and they should also be able to ask you stuff about life in general, about what you're going through, or who you are, and that brings a better relationship.
That's good. It reminds me of like reporters. So great reporters, you don't even know that they're interviewing you.
Right.
So like I think about when I play sports and, I'm thinking I'm just hanging out with the newspaper guy, not knowing that this joker is interviewing me and writing and taking notes on everything I said. Even if they're mental notes, he was actually interviewing me, and next thing I know, I'm quoted in the paper. And so, yeah, a good ghostwriter, like you said, will begin to build a rapport with you and start to, create your story in your mind without you even knowing, so I think that's good. So what are some of the other things that they can do other than having an outline? What's something else? And being open, that was point number 2, being open, in sharing their story. Don't be closed off. What are some other things that they can do to prepare themselves to work with a ghostwriter?
Yeah, I think find an example of the work that you're trying to create if there's any.
That's good.
I think sometimes, I know we are creative. We talk about, we preach this a lot, that nobody has your book, but people are in your genre. People are in the type of book that you want to write. And so one of the things that I did, because I was already an author and I was working on some devotional kind of stuff I was wanting to do, and I wanted that ghostwriter to research. So I was able to say, hey, this is what I want my journal to look like. Having some footnotes. So being able to come and give them a blueprint, this is what I want it to look like, and here's some work that you can Google and look at. Even though my work will be different, so having some reference of where you can go and look at some products like that is another way. And then I think another thing you can be prepared to do is being able to have also some scripted questions for them. Like I said this earlier, like not only about their life or how do they get into ghostwriting, but timetables. Being clear about when you need your work back. I need to get this done in the next 3 weeks. I want it to be done, whatever, because that ghostwriter may not, you see what I'm saying, may not have the time or the capacity to fulfill your deadline. So coming with that, and also being able to say, here's some work, here's some references and stuff that I want you to create.
Yeah, so give the first one, if y'all missed that, was give some references. So find some works that you like, that you can refer the ghostwriter to. Number two, what was that second one you said?
Be able to come with questions about or
Yeah.
have a timetable.
Yeah. So
this is what I expect. Expectations.
Yeah.
True expectations.
Yeah. Set your expectations. So set your expectations. Put them out there on the front end on your deadlines, or maybe what you had in mind. It may not be realistic, but it's good to have those things out there. And I think it's very powerful. One of the most powerful points you said is like have some example of the type of work that you like, or
Right.
what type of style of book you're going for. So that's a good idea too as well. So if you don't read, you may want to read a couple books in your genre before you hire a ghostwriter. So that may be something that you need to think about. So, but that's good, bro. All right, what else you got for them?
Yeah, and I think one of the biggest things about it is going back to that timetable thing, being clear that your expectation may not be reasonable in the eye of a ghostwriter.
Right.
Because one of the things that ghostwriters have to do is they have to digest your story or your work or your direction and then put some type of format around it a lot of times. Now, I've had several people, I've done it several ways where I went with the first ghostwriter, they had my information, Kelly. So they had like my first chapters. I wanted them to do research and some questions and make it like a workbook type of thing. So I had the meat and potatoes and they were putting the garnish on it, right? But if I was not that prepared, I would need to have a dialogue about how long it's going to take this person to do that, where I wanted to go. So really having those clear expectations and being able to provide up front. I'll say this again, as much as possible. If you can get prepared as much as possible before you meet with a ghostwriter, don't just come with nothing and expect them to do it.
Yeah, I think that's good. So guys, if you're prepared to work with a ghostwriter, be as prepared as possible. So, do some research, write some stuff down, the stories that you want to cover, the direction you want to go, your timeline, when you want to try to have it back. Do some work on being open. If you know you're not open, know the stories you want to cover. If you're doing your life story, I think it's important. If you're doing a life story type book, write down the stories that are most important for you, like or that that you want to include in the story. Now, some other things are going to come up as you're talking to the ghostwriter and y'all begin the process of the interviews. It's going to stir up some other stuff. So just try to be as prepared as possible. So don't try to think of everything, because that can be overwhelming, but be as prepared as possible as you can. But yeah, I see you shaking your head. You got something else?
Yeah, I think the biggest thing is I've been on both sides, and I think we're going to segue into like I've actually do ghostwriting now. We work together with clients, Kelly and I. Me and you. It's one of those things where I'm learning on the other end to be that good reporter, because I've seen how it works on when I use a ghostwriter.
Yeah.
And now it's helped me. And one of the biggest things that it is true, I started working with a client that I went from getting to know her to about like two hours. And
Right.
she was still flowing and getting information. And me and my creative mind was like, everything that she was sending me, I was putting into chapters.
Yeah.
I'm talking about this was a recorded call. Like, so there's different ways you can do it as a ghostwriter. And this was like a Zoom call like we're on now. But it was one of those things where I was taking the information and I began to formulate chapters, and it blew her away.
Yeah.
But we had to go a couple of times. Each time going through that story, like you were saying, Kelly, she opened up more and started saying, wait a minute. So most of our time was like, oh, I forgot that. And so you have to be patient as a writer to be able to, like I said, come to the table and be able to produce, not hold anything back. But on the other side, as a ghostwriter, you got to be patient, because you want as much material from those conversations as possible. Because again, we said it on an earlier podcast, those sentences, those words turn to sentences, sentences turn to paragraphs, paragraphs turn to pages. Even when you're doing a recording or you're doing ghostwriting, it's the same thing. The more content I get from you, the more I can actually put in the pages.
Yeah, that's very important. Like even with, I've heard about, video, it's best to have more than didn't shoot enough. So the more audio or the more information you can give, the more you can tell of your story, the more the ghostwriter is going to have to work with. So
let me say this too. It's a team. What I'm learning too with doing this more and more. It's a team. It's a bounce back because a lot of times ghostwriters or even the authors will want you just to write something.
yeah,
You can spend your time turning around really quick, and you can do like a, turn a book around. When we talk about, I can turn a book around in 2 weeks, but is that going to be a replica of your story?
right,
And the thing about it is, I like to work with authors where I say, hey, I'm sending you a chapter. Let it bounce back. How does that feel? Am I going in the right direction? I would hate to finish a whole entire book, and this has happened a lot of time, and then people are like, that is not my story.
right. But that's not how I wanted it to feel. That didn't feel right. Yeah. So that's very important. So yeah, look at it. That's another great point. Look at it as a team. Look at it as a team. You are going to do this together, and bounce things off of each other, bro. I think that's good, man. It's good info. So you got any more for them before we wrap it up?
No, I think that biggest thing, man, and at the end of the day, I would say this point, and I know you can speak to this point too, Kelly, from a publishing aspect, that a ghostwriter remains anonymous.
Right.
Right. And one of the things I was sharing with a client recently was that I will interpret your word. It's almost like I'm an interpreter for you. I want to speak your language, but at the end of the day, when people read this, they shouldn't be seeing the ghostwriter's imprint.
Right.
They should be seeing that this is a book Kelly wrote, even though you have, say I was writing a ghostwriting book project for you. It should be that sound like Kelly. And I think that you don't stop your project until you feel like that sounds like me.
Right.
Because you're not being integral to yourself. I've seen a lot of people who get ghostwriting books and they don't read it. And so when they on the interview and people start asking them certain questions, they stumble because it's like, I had somebody do that. You want to be able to read it, read the work. I always say the last one, read the work of the ghostwriter, because I've written books for people and they didn't read it. And I'm like, you turned it back into me too quick. Did you read this whole chapter?
Right.
And then they're like, oh yeah, okay. Or they get the book or they get the chapter back and y'all done. And they're like, well, in this section, I want you to add a little bit more. I was like, did you not read it in the first place?
Right. Very important.
That's it.
But good stuff. All right, guys. So as you can see, if you need a ghostwriter, we have several of them on staff, including Doc here. We can help you interview your book and bring your book to life in your voice. We're here. We're ready to team up with you. So if that's you and you're interested, shoot us an email, Books-N-Brothas at gmail.com. Make sure you're following us on iTunes, YouTube, Spotify, Google Podcasts, and more. Make sure you share this. Like I said, I get a lot of feedback offline of how many people actually enjoy the podcast. So make sure you're sharing this with some people. Make sure you're leaving us a review on Apple, and so we can spread this thing out, so we can begin to monetize this. So we like to give you guys the meat and potatoes. We don't like to give a lot of fluff. We like to share things that we actually do. So with that being said, bro, any final words before we give them our quote?
That's it, bro.
All right, man. So you don't have to get it right.
Just got to get it going.
One thing I forgot.
What you get?
Today is my 13-year anniversary, bro. When I quit both my jobs. Quit both of my jobs 13 years ago and started my business online. So if you want to read about that, check out my IG at Mr. Kelly Cole.
And you also got Facebook too, because I've seen a lot of people.
Yeah, it's on Facebook as well.
Yeah.
It's on Facebook as well. So, man, I just want to say in that, God has been faithful in this time, man. Like, I remember, I just want to share this one little story. Like, I remember, and I think I shared this before, like being so broke that I had to go around my house and look for things with the tags on it so I could take it back to Walmart so we could eat. So when I tell you God has been faithful, here we are, here I am, 13 years later, and to have a successful company, a podcast, several books written, and, went from working 80 hours a week, not making any money, to, what I'm saying, I work a lot less now and it doesn't feel like work a lot of times.
Right.
To making, more money in a day than I made working 80 hours a week, 2 weeks, working 2 jobs. And, I just thank God. And I look back to that time, like I used to sit and be like, man, is it always going to be like this? And I always dreamed of, just doing stuff, man. I want to share one of my dreams. One of my dreams is I want to give away $1 million.
Wow.
So I would when I was working at Walmart, I would sit down and make a list of 100 people that I wanted to give $10,000 to. Then I would make another list of 200 people that I wanted to give $5,000 to.
Wow.
So these are dreams of mine. Like I'm telling you, I would sit in Walmart and I would dream. I would be in Blockbuster and I would be in there dreaming. I would draw what I want my house to look like. I would draw what I want my living room to look like. I would draw the car that I wanted. I would draw the vacations that I wanted to take. So I want to say that I want to end on this last thing, man.
Let's go,
be
man.
faithful. Be faithful in giving. Be faithful in serving. And God says he gives seed to the sower. So the more you sow, the more you give, abundance comes through giving. So
yes.
Congratulations,
man. And every time I read that story, you guys go read it because it brings chills to me every time.
Yeah.
Knowing you up close and personal and to see where you come from, bro, that's powerful, and it shows us that it can be done. So go check that out and read that on IG, Facebook. And congratulations again, bro, for 13 years.
Appreciate it, brother. All right, guys. That's it. That's all we got for you, bro. I'll holler at you next week. Love you, man.
Love
Be
you
safe and handle your business. Player.
You too, bro.
All right, later.
I have a book in me. This is my friend, my brother.
Thank you, Kelly and Oliver.
I'm a multi-award winning best-selling author.
If you want to start a new business, I suggest you write the book on it.
God woke me up at 2:30 in the morning and I wrote a book.
Some of you got books already. Some of you got novels already.
The lead generator is the book.
You write a book, you leave a legacy to your children.
And I hope you guys listen to these guys so they know what they're talking about.